So the blue line you can see there is the Rotax's. Hey guys, welcome back to the Power Public YouTube channel. In today's video, we're introducing the brand new cylinder from Rotax. This is a Senior Max cylinder. We're going to be putting it on an engine and running it on the engine dyno here at the House of Power. I'm going to graph out the results for the brand new cylinder versus the original, and also put it up against the all-conquering X30. The only thing that we're not going to be doing is the restricted version. That will be coming up at a later date. So subscribe if you haven't already and turn on those pesky notifications. Now the appearance of the new cylinder is quite different. This is a new feature with it. We've got the barcode on there. I guess that's for some scrutineering maybe. AB is the size of the cylinder. That used to be here stamped. It's now engraved on the side. We've got some batch coding here. Some new rib features here underneath the reed cage. This one is stamped for the Formula Rotax here in Australia, so you can use these ones. This little boss here is new on this 2024 model. And then we've got the oval exhaust port, and the power valve has now a recess here for the blade to sit down in. So now we got this bad boy all hooked up to the dyno. It's time to put it through its paces. Let's get some. All right, there you have it, Senior Max, full noise. That was awesome. Well, let's get into the data. So what we can see here is we've got peak power at about 11,000 RPM. It does have a good amount of early sort of power, around the 8,000 onwards. Obviously the power valve is open, and that's when these things really start to hammer. So from 8,000 onwards, the torque is at full strength, and then we get 30 horsepower at 10,000. Dips a little bit around 10.5, and then you get a really nice big surge of power between say 10.5 and 11,500 RPM, and then we get a dip from there on into the top end, and a little bit of a spike up towards 14,500 RPM rev limiter on the Senior Max engine. Okay, so now that we've got the Senior Max 2024 all tested, I want to compare that to the older style Senior Max cylinder, and the only one saved in the new dyno system is one from earlier in January. Now if you look here, we've started the test earlier at 6.5 and run right through where the power valve opens at 7.5, whereas say we started at 8,000 because that's what we've been doing recently. So apologies for that, but we do have the data here starting at around 8,750 RPM. Pretty solid there, and then the power increases through the mid-range, and this zone here is what is interesting. So what I'm going to do here is just turn off the torque for a second and just look about the power increase. So from 9,000 RPMs onwards, the new style 2024 cylinder, power increase is quite incredible. This is going to be interesting to feel what it's like on track. And then all the way right up, obviously we changed our testing parameters just recently. So sorry about that. That is not a direct comparison in RPM range. But what you can see from these test comparison is a huge increase in peak power, 33.1 horsepower. Now if we bring back the torque and turn off the engine power, obviously the torque has increased as well right through the rev range. So this engine is going to be fantastic. So for those that are curious, one of the biggest questions we get on the interweb is how does the X30 compare to the new Rotax cylinder? So let's load up an X30 that we tested earlier today versus the Senior Max from just now. So the blue line you can see there is the Rotax's torque curve. And then if we bring up our X30 from earlier today, you can see how much extra torque in the 8,000 to sort of, well, geez, nearly 11,500 RPM range. How much extra torque you've got in those Rotax engines. That's substantial. But then in above the 12,000 line, we see a dip in torque there, but obviously you've got more engine RPMs on board. So if we bring up power and we take engine torque away, we've got a lot more power here up until 11.5 with the Rotax and a higher peak power, and then less power as the RPMs increase. Now the beauty of the X30 engine is that it can rev from 8,000 minimum all the way up to 16,200 RPM on most tracks, depending on the gear ratio. Your Rotax engine, it's only going to rev to 14,600 RPM on most tracks, depending on the gear ratio. So we do have a disparity of around 1,500 RPMs from the two engines. Hopefully with all the extra power in the bottom end range on those Rotax engines, we could probably run 2 to 3 teeth less on the rear compared to those X30s. So if they've got a 77, we've got a 75 or a 74, and they have a 10 on the front, we have an 11 tooth front sprocket. That way we've got the 1 tooth variation plus the 3 on the rear to compensate for that 1,500 RPM difference. So we still get the same top speed in kilometers per hour at the end of the straight. So it's very much holding corner speed, using the torque of the engine, gearing it low to get the top speed to compare with those X30s that have been dominating the tag class lately, or the 125 categories. So I guess the only thing left to do now is to take the engine off the dyno, put it on a kart, go to the track and see how it compares to those other 125s. The one thing we haven't done yet is compare the Rotax in its restricted form, which is very popular here in Australia, versus the X30 restricted that's been killing it lately. That video is going to be coming up, so stay tuned. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you're stuck around all this time, I hope you find this information really helpful. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next video.